Hello, good evening, everyone. And thank you for your patience. We called our meeting to order during our closed session, so we can begin our meeting, but before we do, I just want to turn it really quickly to our board attorney to just correct and amend the agenda.
Yes, we just, for closed session, we did want to add an item. There was discussion regarding school security. So that's a matter involving real tactics and techniques utilized in protecting the safety and property of the public, and there will be no action taken on that particular discussion and item.
Thank you. All right, so we can now begin with presentations and reports, and I'll turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Ederholm.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to welcome everyone back to the start of the 22-23 school year. We're anxiously awaiting the return of our staff later this week on Thursday and Friday, and we will be welcoming our students next week for the return to school. So at this time, schedules are released. We have just issued earlier or late last week the district newsletter, which has tremendous amounts of information about the opening, school safety and security, health updates, COVID protocols, whatnot, school schedules, back to school nights. If parents have not received it in their email, it's on our district website. We also welcomed our new staff and our returning staff that came after September 1st last year at orientation last week. We're very much looking forward to the opening and the continued return towards normalcy. The state has definitely moved forward with lesser restrictions. We will continue to follow suit, but we will be mindful of some large group events, and we'll put some restrictions in place as necessary. We will still be monitoring our COVID cases. Communication will be a little less frequent than it has been in past years with respect to health. We won't be doing weekly health and safety updates, and we will not be doing daily communication on every case that happens within schools, but we will be still providing bi-monthly updates to the community. At the same time, we will still be monitoring our case counts, and we will still be quarantining positives. So that is in alignment with the NJDOH and the CDC rules that are updated as of right now and in cooperation and partnership with the health departments. So we again look forward to it. We have just opened up some of our sports seasons. Our numbers are up across the board for student participation. We're excited about that, and we look forward to a wonderful 22-23. With that, I'm going to turn to our curriculum presentation this evening. It's our 22-23 curriculum review. Dr. Nathan and her team have been hard at work all summer, and we thank them and their writing teams for all their work. And with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Dr. Nathan.
Good evening. I have the pleasure of sharing a high-level overview of the amazing work that has been completed over the summer. Curriculum is revised as a result of 3 opportunities: the standards change, when we reach a point in our review cycle every 5 years, and/or to ensure our district's strategic goals are emulated through the documents and therefore through our students' learning experiences. Tonight, specifically, I will share the amazing work of our curriculum writing teams, what curriculum looks like, and highlights from the work overall. If a picture captures 1,000 words, then a video shares a story. Watch this brief clip.
Almost from the time we are born, we are told stories. These stories teach us about everything in the world, and children from a very young age form opinions about people, places, and even animals based on these stories. They learn bunnies are good and wolves are bad, and that it's probably not a good idea to walk through the deep, dark woods to grandma's house alone. But what happens when you don't see yourself represented in these stories? How do you define your sense of place and belonging? Just imagine growing up seeing yourself in books, represented in books, and maybe not you literally, but you, a Filipino child growing up in the US, a child with 2 moms, a child in a wheelchair. Just imagine if the marginalized in our society are the characters of mainstream children's literature. Growing up, I didn't see myself in books. The only time I saw someone that looked similar to me would be books about India, not America. And in these books, the kids spoke a language I didn't know and practiced a religion I wasn't familiar with. Just imagine if every child in this country sees themselves represented in books. Imagine the impact that could have for their sense of self and place and belonging, inclusion and empathy. Imagine a world where all children from all backgrounds see themselves in American literature. I immigrated to this country when I was 5 years old. I'm the one sitting in the chair, the little chubby girl. This is my home. I belong here. I grew up learning about America and Americans through the books I read. I read many of the classic children's literature of the 70s and 80s. Judy Blume books, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, Charlotte's Web. Great books, all of them, but they didn't have anyone that looked remotely like me. Finally happened for me. It finally happened in the year 2000, 20 years after I immigrated to this country. I saw myself in a book. An author had captured my experiences as an immigrant with conflicting cultures and the struggles to assimilate. She was sharing my stories. There was actually a book about a female Indian immigrant living in Boston, where I was living at the time. It blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. I finally connected with a book. And these characters were not token diverse characters or overused stereotypes of Indians and immigrants. These characters would eat Indian food at home and American food at work. They would speak one language to their parents and speak English to their friends. These characters straddled the line between two worlds like I did. It took 20 years for me to see my place in America cemented through these stories. I finally was part of the story. In that very same year, in the year 2000, my niece Grace was born. And I started searching for children's literature that would resonate with her. I couldn't find anything. There were books about little brown kids in India, a country she had never been to, playing with elephants and peacocks. And as a child growing up in the suburbs of New York City, the closest she would get to these exotic animals would be at the Bronx Zoo. Where were all the books about little brown kids being kids, playing soccer or playing dress up? This is when my passion for having children see themselves in books started. I had that amazing connection with the book, and I wanted others to have it as well. This is when I started researching children's literature. And through my research, I came across window and mirror books. In 1990, Rudine Sims Bishop wrote an essay titled Windows, Mirrors, and Sliding Glass Doors. The essence of her writing is that there are books that are windows that give you a glimpse into another world, real or imagined. There are books through a child's imagination that allows you to step through that window as a sliding glass door and become part of the author's world. And when the lighting is just right, you can see yourself reflected in that world.
And when my books were finally published, they featured Chinese culture and Asian characters. Teachers always tell you to write what you know, but I wasn't doing that. I was writing what I wanted to know. Because my books are the books that I wished I had when I was a child. And knowing this, I really should not have been surprised when people called my novel, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, a Chinese Wizard of Oz. Because the main character, Min Li, who's on this journey to find the old man of the moon, well, Min Li, she's really an Asian Dorothy, a girl that my 5th grade self would have loved to see herself as. Where the Mountain Meets the Moon won a Newbery Honor, which is kind of like being nominated for an Oscar. And because of this, the readership exploded. Teachers put the book on their summer reading lists, whole communities read it, and you wouldn't believe how many kids sent me letters telling me how much they loved it. Schools even produced plays of it, with my Asian Dorothy becoming a coveted character. In fact, a 3rd grade teacher told me that they ended up having 4 different Min Lis because so many kids wanted to be her. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine creating a character because you felt like an outcast, only to hear that that character was whom everyone wished to be? It was amazing and surreal. And the surprises continued. Because of the book's popularity, librarians from all over the world, from Iowa to Hong Kong, invited me to speak to their students. And it was at one of these schools that a librarian took me aside, and she said, I have to tell you, this year we had a new student, an Asian girl, and I'm ashamed to say that some of the kids made fun of her. But after we read your book, all of a sudden, all the kids thought that being Asian was kind of cool. It really made them look at her in a different light. And this made me realize that as much as kids need books to be mirrors, kids also need books to be windows. Kids who always see themselves in books need to be able to see things from other viewpoints. How can we expect kids to get along with others in this world, to empathize and to share, if they never see outside of themselves? Because if they did, don't you think that the girl who stood next to me in 5th grade might have answered a little differently? Don't you think she could have said, sure, you could be Dorothy. Why not? So tonight, when you go home, please look at your child's bookshelf. Are all the books mirrors, or are they all windows? Make sure that you have both. Because if you do, you're setting a path for self-worth and empathy. And that is a brick road worth following.
So in conclusion, I want to thank the supervisors of instruction, the curriculum writing teams, the strategic goal teams, the board curriculum committee, and Dr. Adderhold. The team's insight, feedback, skillful work, and support have led to the creation and/or revision of over 167 documents this summer, as well as tonight's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nathan. Are there any questions from board members? Oh, yes, Liz.
Just wanted to make a comment. Just want to thank you, first of all, for doing this, and I really wish that I had these resources when I was growing up. It would have been really beneficial, and I think many of us here probably could really relate to this, so this is a long time coming, and I so appreciate it.
Thanks, Liz. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Dr. Nathan. Okay, that takes us now to the first opportunity for public comments. The board invites thoughts and reactions on agenda items and items of concern from members of our community who are present. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement, which will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with Board Policy 0167. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. This public comment period shall be limited to 60 minutes. Are there any public comments? All right, hearing none, I will close the public comment portion. We'll go next to the committee reports, and we'll start with Administration and Facilities Committee. Dana?
Hello, good evening. The Administration and Facilities Committee met on August 22nd. We reviewed the several policies for our first reading. The first one was the high school student representative to the Board of Education. Next was on quorum, benefits covering non-affiliated employees at Category G, Board of Education website accessibility, Every Student Succeeds Act, and a policy and regulation for student discipline and code of conduct, and crisis response. The last three I just read are going to be emergency adoptions tonight, so that they can be in place for this beginning of the school year. The committee recommends all of those that I just read for first reading. The committee also reviewed the policies and regulations and recommended the following for second reading and approval. These are policies covering benefits for non-affiliated central office administration employees, which is Category C, benefits covering non-affiliated administrative employees, Category A, benefits covering non-affiliated school security officers or eyes on the doors officers, Category D, benefits covering foremen, Category F, and benefits covering non-affiliated support staff, which is Category B. Next, the committee reviewed the district nursing services plan for the 22-23 school year. This plan supports student health care needs, emergency management, and other health-related services, and we recommend its submission to the county superintendent of schools as required by the state of New Jersey. Then the committee discussed district facility rental contracts with community organizations for this upcoming school year, following the Regulation 7510 use of school facilities. Next, we looked into a topic on school security and discussed district safety and security measures and a proposal from Critical Response Group, Inc., for school collaborative response graphics and digital mapping. And next, we reviewed a memorandum of understanding with Mercer Street Friends for the district's participation in the 22-23 Send Hunger Packing Program, and we recommend its approval on tonight's agenda. Dr. McDonald also updated us on the referendum projects, so this is what he shared with us. Permitting and punch lists are scheduled for the dance studio at High School North. Punch list items continue at High School South with final inspections underway. Community middle school renovations are near completion with owner trainings, punch lists, and final walkthroughs scheduled. Masonry, plumbing, and roofing for the Wyckoff School addition continues with interior work commencing. Renovations to the media centers at Dutch Neck and Millstone River schools have begun with interior demolition underway. The committee will next meet on Tuesday, September 13th.
Thank you, Dana. Any questions from board members? Okay, we'll now turn to the Curriculum Committee. Lori?
Thanks, Rachel. The Curriculum Committee met on August 23rd. We began the meeting with a presentation by Victoria Locane, a teacher in the district, who shared her research project as part of her doctoral program. The project is titled Early Childhood Educators' Perspectives on the Challenges of Including Inclusive Literature and Implementing Culturally Informed Teaching Practices. Next, Dr. Nathan shared her 2 qualitative merit goals with the committee. The first goal centering around curriculum instruction and innovation website for internal staff use. The site would replace where digital materials are accessed and would appear in all staff's ClassLink dashboard. Second goal centered on a multilingual toolkit. The creation and sharing of this resource will provide all staff information tools, and tutorials on how to translate messages in newsletters, emails, and other written forms into the language of the caregiver and/or student. The toolkit also contains resources for oral translation needs, which will be piloted by groups of staff and administrators this school year. On the agenda tonight for voting are several items. First, with curriculum. Dr. Nathan spoke a little bit about it today. The committee recommends approval of new and/or revised curriculum, the 167 that are listed on tonight's agenda. Second, the curriculum committee recommends approval of the cable TV interlocal services agreement. It's to authorize the 5th year of a 5-year shared services agreement between Plainsboro Township and West Windsor Regional School District for cable television. Third, the committee recommends submission of the West Windsor-Plainsboro School District's Board of Education's District Professional Development Plan and the District Mentoring Plan Statement of Assurance for the 2022-23 school year to the New Jersey Department of Education. Next, the Curriculum Committee recommends approval to dispose of some obsolete instructional materials in accordance with R7 300.1. The two listed tonight are 121 books from High School North Media Center and over 2,000 books from the Town Center School Media Center. These items are outdated as to no longer serve as worthy instructional tools, or they are worn and or damaged as to preclude effective use and economical repair or restoration. Next to be voted on is the community education programs. So the committee recommends approval of the listing of community education fall 2022 adult, youth, and after-school enrichment programs, which are listed in the agenda tonight. The next item is professional development. We recommend the approval of entering into a contract with Flemington Raritan Regional School District to provide 2022 and 2023 reading recovery professional development and technical support for 11 reading recovery teachers at a cost of $9,900 plus mileage. Next, the high school program. The curriculum committee recommends approval of one high school student to enroll in an online course, Environmental Science, at Edusier LLC for the upcoming school year at a cost not to exceed $195. And this is pretty exciting. Next is field trips. The committee recommends approval of the following overnight field trips. The first one is Grover Middle School choir students to the Music in the Showcase Festival at University of Delaware in Virginia from the 5th of May to the 7th. The trip would be about $425 per student. Second, High School North senior class trip to Disney World in Florida from the 21st to the 25th of March. The cost of this trip, about $1,600 per student. And also High School South senior class trip to Disney World, both of them, also $1,600. And those dates are the 16th of March to the 20th of March, 2023. And then last, the Community Middle School and Grover Middle School German classes to Washington, D.C. from April 28th to the 29th, 2023. Cost is about $300 per student. Next, we are looking at grants to recommend approval of the submission of a grant application by Emily Saleh, a teacher at a Village School Visual Arts teacher, to the National Education Association Foundation to support the WWP Equity Goal, which elevates student voice and develops student engagement in civic and community life in an amount not to exceed $5,000. Funds will be used for about a year from the 15th of November 2022 to the 2023 to purchase supplies, engage a contemporary teaching artist, and design and create a site-specific Artivism equity mural at Village School. And then last to be voted on tonight on my list here is The committee is recommending approval of entering into an agreement with Propio Language Services to provide professional translation services for the upcoming school year in all languages for a total amount not to exceed to $20,000 through the end of June 2023. And that is it. The committee will meet next on September 13th. Thanks.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions from board members? We'll now turn to the Finance Committee report. Louisa?
Thank you. The Finance Committee met on August 23rd. The committee reviewed the monthly financial reports as well as agenda items for tonight's meeting. This included motions to establish a petty cash account for the Special Services Department, approving a bid award for food service technology equipment, and to approve 2 additional pieces of technology equipment for the CMS expansion. There are cooperative purchases for refurbishment of a gym floor at South, wireless access points for several buildings around the district, and end-user phishing software. Also on the agenda are approvals for a state contract purchase to install access points in 6 of the district's school buildings, a motion to dispose of obsolete equipment from various district buildings, and several approvals for staff professional development travel. The auditors are currently in the district conducting the audit of the 21-22 school year financial records. Staff updated the committee on construction projects. At High School South, the 2-story science classroom addition and the main office areas are complete and have received temporary certificates of occupancy. District staff have moved into these spaces. The 1-story main entrance addition is complete and awaiting a temporary certificate of occupancy from the township. At North, the dance classroom addition is complete. It passed the final building inspection. We are in the process of obtaining a conditional approval from the Freehold Soils Conservation District. This is needed to obtain the final certificate of occupancy. Also for North, our architect will be issuing a bidding memo to rebid the Culinary Arts Lab and Media Center shortly. We are targeting a September bid award. Also, commissioning work continues on the new HVAC system. At Community, more renovation areas are complete, including science classrooms 216 and 218, orchestra 611, vocal 612, and the new band classroom. The remaining areas are general music, 2 science classrooms, technology, engineering, workshop, and art rooms. These rooms are expected to be completed and turned over to the district in time for the start of the new school year. At Dutch Neck, the Media Center renovations project will begin once a permit is issued by the West Windsor Township Building Department, and this is expected soon. Completion of this project is anticipated in January. At Millstone River, the HVAC upgrade commissioning issues are being addressed to bring the project to completion. The Media Center renovations are currently underway. A temporary partition at the main entrance lobby has been constructed to separate the construction areas from the public, and completion of this project is anticipated in January. At Wyckoff Elementary School, the 1-story kindergarten classroom addition is well underway. This should be completed in the fall of '22. Phase 2 is to redo the main entrance and main office area. Construction documents are being prepared for Phase 2. This project will be ready to bid as early as mid-September, and the HVAC upgrades project will be ready to bid at the same time. For the libraries at Hawk, Town Center, and Village, design work will begin in the fall of '22 to be bid in the winter. This work will hopefully be done during the summer of '23. Staff also updated the Committee on Transportation Services. There are several jointures on the agenda for approval, as well as a cancellation due to a route not being needed for the school year. Staff also updated the Committee on Food Service issues. Sodexo is preparing for the new school year. Unfortunately, they were only able to hire 1 new person to date. Pre-pandemic, Sodexo had 60 employees in district. They currently have only 30. The company has been recruiting using online platforms and posting flyers. Sodexo would like to have a minimum of 45 staff to start the year. However, that goal does not appear attainable. Many new kitchen items and serving equipment have been ordered over the past year. Some of these items have been installed, while some deliveries will be delayed well into the new school year. We are waiting for the new point of sale equipment to arrive. Expected delivery is August 25th. Food service operations will return to normal for the 22-23 school year. This past year, all students were able to eat for free. For the 22-23 year, students will be paying for lunch unless they qualify for the normal free lunch program. For the school, the reimbursement rates have increased from pre-pandemic levels. Dr. Adderholt updated the committee on the school reopening plan. Back-to-school nights for K-5 will be in person. Back-to-school nights for 6th through 12th will be virtual. This streamlines the events for parents and staff because it cuts out all the time spent walking across the school and hopefully not getting lost. Administration is still determining if there will be school tours. The CDC has removed most of the COVID restrictions, and there will be no virtual school option this school year. The district will be undergoing a quality single accountability continuum review this year. The merit goals for the Assistant Superintendent for Finance includes the district receiving ASBO International Meritorious Budget Award and the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. Processing of these awards has been delayed. Under other business, the committee followed up on an internet security discussion from a prior meeting. Administration shared that the technology department would like to contract with a service that analyzes the district's internet security. The district has already contracted for phishing software that reports on phishing activity. The committee next will meet on Tuesday, September 13th.
Thank you, Louisa. Are there any questions from board members?
One, I don't know if maybe Dr. Adderholt can help with, just for the no virtual school option, if someone is diagnosed, or if someone is tested positive for COVID, is there still like a virtual option for that student, or is this?
No, there'll be no virtual option for this school year for students that are diagnosed with COVID. We were doing that when there was a 10-day quarantine, and now that that's been reduced to a 5-day, we're essentially saying be sick and recover and come back well. And we'll be working with families and students for makeup work.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, great. So we'll now move to the voting portion of our meeting. We'll turn to administration items 1 through 16. Can I have a motion for those items? Dana and Liz, any questions or comments? Okay. Chris?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Bonzo.
Yes.
Next we have Ms. Chinera.
Yes.
Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Ms. McEwen,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes. We'll now move to curriculum items, items 1 through 10, plus just adding to item 1, fundamentals of sports medicine, which was left out. Can I get a motion for those items, Loy and Pooja? Any questions or comments?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Chinera.
Yes.
Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich.
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall,
Yes.
Ms. McEwen,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Okay.
We now turn to the finance items. Can I have a motion for finance items 1 through 22? Louisa and Graylin, any questions or comments?
Do you mean 22, or are you going to separate out 22?
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so items 1 through 21. Okay, can I have a motion? Louisa and Graylin?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Ho,
Yes.
Ms. Krug,
Yes.
Ms. Maliga,
Yes.
Ms. Shetty,
Yes.
Ms. Zovich,
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall,
Yes.
Ms. Chiniera,
Yes.
Ms. McEwen,
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have to do 22A and then 22B. With respect to 22A and 22B, this is respect to travel related to the Board of Education. This is specifically for a Board of Education training at New Jersey school boards. So you'll note that the resolution is broken into A and B. If you will be doing A first, which is for West Windsor Township, and then 4 board members, and then 3. So if you're planning to go, you would abstain. If you're in West Windsor and A, you would abstain. Everyone else can then vote affirmatively. If we have enough votes, it carries, and then we would do the same for B, which would be for the 3 Plainsboro members that are going. If at any time a board member that told us they weren't going to go changes their mind, we can do another resolution at a later date to add additional board members.
Thank you, Dr. Adderholt. So can I get a motion then for finance item 22A? Loy and Pooja.
Aye.
Yay. Okay, we'll start with Ms. Bonsall.
Yes.
Ms. Cheniera.
Yeah.
Abstain.
Abstain. Yep,
Sorry.
okay. Yes. Ms. Ho.
Abstain.
Ms. Krug. Ms. Maliga.
Yes.
Ms. Shetty.
Abstain.
Ms. Zovich.
Yes.
Ms. McEwen.
Abstain.
Ms. Juliana.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Well, you need 5 abstain, right?
You do need 5, yeah.
You need 5 votes, correct? And with that, we had 5 abstentions. Now, there was 4 board members to attend.
Good question.
There are 5 of us.
Yeah, I think,
But you only have to abstain if you're going. So who's not going?
I believe that's now where you all are.
Is every member from West Windsor planning to go?
Yeah.
What Bonnie's saying is because there are 4 board members from West Windsor to be approved on this particular resolution, if one board member moves from abstain to affirmative, we can do another resolution at the next meeting just for that one board member to be approved from West Windsor. And it would then approve 4 this time and 1 the next time. I'm looking at Jeff for guidance.
If you don't have a full.
Okay. So we can bring this item back and split it at the next meeting.
We can bring it, we can pull it, we can table it. And then invoke the doctrine of necessity, we need a resolution for that purpose. We don't have the resolution. Is there any urgency of doing it today?
No.
Okay, so I would, if we're not gonna have a full quorum, then we would need to invoke the doctrine of necessity.
Let's pull 22 out and bring it back.
Then everyone will be able to.
We'll take it on the 20th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll move item 22 to the next one. Thank you.
Just vote to table that, go next board.
To table that. So do we need a motion to table that or no?
I'm sorry?
Do we need a motion to table it or we
Yeah,
just?
I would,
should.
yeah, move the table, yeah.
Okay. So can I get a motion to table this in the next?
I move to table it.
Is that-
okay, we'll start with Ms. Cheniera.
Yes.
Ms. Ho.
Yes.
Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Ms. Maliga.
Yes.
Ms. Shetty.
Yes.
Ms. Zovich.
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall.
Yes.
Ms. McEwen.
Yes.
Ms. Juliana.
Thank you. So we now move to personnel, and before we go to the voting.
Thank you. Good evening again, everyone. I just want to take a moment to pause. We have a new member of our administration that's being recommended this evening in the audience. So sitting behind Dr. Nathan is Cindy Osceni. Cindy is the current supervisor of social studies in Hillsborough Township Public Schools. She's served in that role since 2013. Cindy has a doctorate in curriculum instruction from Rutgers University, a master's from TCNJ, and an undergraduate from Princeton University. She's been highly involved in the historical thinking standards at the with the New Jersey Department of Ed, with curriculum writing and the state standards. In that role, she's worked closely with Carl Cooper, our former supervisor. She's a highly regarded veteran supervisor in the state. We're thrilled to be able to acquire her talent and skills in WWP, and we look forward to Cindy joining us. I'm pleased to recommend her to the board this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. All right, so with that, can I get a motion on personnel items 1 and 2, plus the green, pink, and yellow addendum, Robin and Shweta? Any questions or comments? Chris?
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Krug.
Yes.
Maliga.
Yes.
Ms. Shetty.
Yes.
Ms. Zovich.
Yes.
Ms. Bonsall.
Yes.
Ms. Cheniera. Ms. O,
Yes.
Ms. Ewan,
Yes.
Juliana.
Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So on our personnel items tonight, we approved 2 retirements, so I'd like to acknowledge those. We approved the retirement of Elizabeth Clemens as speech language specialist for Millstone River and Community Middle School, who's retiring after 15 years in the district. And also Thomas Hacker, who is a teacher for health and PE for High School North, retiring after 37 and a half years in the district. So just want to thank them. Thank them for all their years of service and wish you the best in your time. Thank you. Please and others. So in case it wasn't heard, I just wanted for their retirements, I want to thank you for all of your years of service and just wish you the best. We now move to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion? All those in favor say aye. Any abstentions? Any board liaisons? Any business? Move to the second opportunity for public comments. The board invites comments from members of our community when present. Each participant is asked to give his or her name and address prior to making a statement, which will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with board policies 167. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. This public comment period shall be limited to 15 minutes. Hearing none, we'll close the motion. And we will need to recess back into closed executive session, so I'll just read the statement. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act authorizes boards of education to meet in executive session under certain circumstances. Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act requires the board to adopt a resolution at a public meeting to go into private session. Now therefore be it resolved by the West Windsor-Plainsboro Regional School District Board of Education that it is necessary to meet in executive session